A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Dimbulukeni, your host. Tonight we are welcoming back to the platform Dimbulukeni Nauyoma, who just over the weekend was announced as a returnee to the ruling party Swapo after having, of course, been in different political environments for some years, although originally he was, of course, a member of the party. And he's here to help us understand his very radical decision to return to the party that he has criticized for so long and for many different reasons. Thank you, Dimbulukeni, for making time. It's a very interesting development. You are my friend, and on the 28th of October, I asked you that I picked up that you were rejoining the party, which you laughed off.
Yes.
And I understood the context, of course, because you knew the beast in me, the journalist in me, would have broken the story already. So I understood why you were saying, nah, it's not true, I'm focusing on my education. But that is okay. So let's talk about this bold decision. How did it come about? Because is it because what you've been telling us about Swapo all along was a lie, or is it because, therefore, in other words, the status of the state of things that you criticized have evaporated, or is it because there's now hope that with the new leadership, the bad that you've been talking about will be resolved?
Thank you very much, Toivo, and I like your honest and brutal conversation. Of course, when we spoke on the 28th, I was finalizing my examinations. In fact, I was preparing for examinations, and I had blocked all political motivated conversations, and we had those other conversations subsequent to that fact. Of course, there has been a call that has been made. And of course, you must process things. You process, you engage. I remember after I finished, I went home. I went to my grandmother to speak to her. I was there by the grave for about a good 2 hours to communicate and be in touch with the ancestry. Of course, then engage the relevant people that I needed to speak to. Your question asks and says, what we've been criticizing the Swapo party of, has it evaporated, or is there hope for new leadership? The conversation about critiquing the Swapo party in terms of its actions and how it has been conducting its affairs, it is enshrined the constitutional right of every member to criticize constructively the party and be able to address these issues. And that is why when you listen to what I've said yesterday, I was speaking about issues that we brought to the table and have been dealt with. Of course, not everything has been absorbed. Some you must accept. You win some and you lose some. It's really the duty of activists to always innovate ways and measures on how to bring forth these ideas and conversations. So there is absolute hope in the new party list. There is a balance of forces. For the first time in the history of the Swapo party, you have members of the Central Committee and the Politburo, some who may not make it to Parliament because they are not on the parliamentary list. So in terms of the checks and balances, you are guaranteed that members of the Politburo, when they pass resolutions in line with the party manifesto, and those that are in the executive and Parliament in particular, do not push those party ideologies to ultimately serve the greater Namibian youth and the greater Namibian people. You will then have accountability at the party level and say, when the executive comes to Central Committee, some can be summoned, and the second highest decision-making body of the party is able to take those bold and decisive decisions. So there is hope in terms of a new wave of leaders who have or who stand a very good chance to go to the August House. Some who have been in the system, some who have been brutalized by the system, and some who have matured and aged over the years. Of course, it's a balance of experience, age, and freshness. And you have a lot of youngsters who are in that list who will need a lot of grooming by the system and by the elders that are still around to take them through.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the challenges, Mr. Nauyoma. The land question, which is very dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
Housing situation, very dear to your heart. The fundamentals of those problems have not been shaken. They remain intact. Some might even have gotten worse. Things like, I mean, you've been at the picketing line fighting for young people. Their condition has actually degenerated in the past 5 years, you could say, because unemployment has gone up. The list of graduates who have emerged out of university is getting long. The queue is getting longer.
Absolutely.
So this is not a party that has resolved the very things that are dear to you.
No. I mean, look, Toivo, I say you win some and you lose some. So ideally, let's first deal with the misconception that is on social media around what I've said about graduates being employed. We led a protest together, myself together with many young people who had graduated around 2018. That protest was aimed to go to the OPM. We found a gentleman who's a director and dealt with us and says, look, conceptualize what you want. Let's take a track record. Let's take stock. Because remember, the mistakes we have done in this protest action, we have a memorandum that we hand over and does not have a list of people who must benefit from as a consequence of this. So we had addresses, emails, cell phone numbers of these young graduates who were pained, and we went and delivered this petition to the OPM. We had subsequent meetings that then drew up specific targets that must be met. And after that, we then went to lobby, because remember, in a political space, you need to do what people see you do, and beyond that, because you carry that as a responsibility, you then have those late night meetings to lobby for and to ensure that this does not become some sort of PR stunt to say, no, we have received, we have had, nothing happens. And I can assure you, Toivo, of those 2,000 of us who had submitted that petition, majority of those people have gotten employment. I meet them every day when I crisscross this country in their offices. Some even called me, others blessed me with petrol money to say, if it was not for you, we would not have been here. So in terms of that aspect, that is what I was speaking to, and say, these are fruits of us having engaged these people. Remember, no government employee or no politician owes me anything to say, Dimbulukeni, you brought your petition, now I'm going to take it and implement it. They can as well just tell me, no, you can take your paper and do whatever you want. But they then said, no, that's not the route that we want to take. Let us have a conversation. And like any other caring government would do. Look at what is happening across SADC or in the African countries. When young people went to protest in Kenya, it turned into a bloodshed. And it's after that bloodshed that they realized that, okay, let's have a conversation. We have not had, up to now, those extreme worst case scenario issues. And they say, look, but just a year ago, you were on the street for the unemployed youth. Absolutely. Because of the experience that we have had, we had conversations with the advisor on youth matters with the president. And we have a direct communication in which we can engage. Yesterday, she confessed and says, now we can have a much easier and lighter conversation. Because we are now on the same team. It will not be perceived as we are trying to push this and politics coming into play. Issues around housing are central to every leader of this country. Issues around poverty, issues around unemployment. I do not believe there is a leader who wakes up rejoicing at the numbers of unemployment in this country. But we need fresh minds, we need new minds, we need renewed minds, together with experience and matured leadership, to be able to address some of these issues. That is all that we are saying. And the crop that wants to take over leadership, we must analyze them and say, but if the person has no level of intellectual capacity or has this morality in terms of how do I want to put it? You must be guided by something.
Yeah.
And when you are failing to have maturity in your conversation, in how you approach and deal with national issues, you're not dealing with issues of going home or household matters, but it's issues of that affect bread and butter issues. You can't have a leader in our country who, when you are questioned on issues of bread and butter, you resort to insults, or you resort to academics and you sway yourself off the main topic. But you need to address issues as they are.
I hear you. Is that Job Ampanda that you're referring to?
No. I'm not mentioning anybody. All I'm saying is there is a variety of leaders who carry that emotional intelligence that they don't have. And that is the maturity that we seek in this country, and say we are not at the position, I don't think we're at the position of experimenting. Where the country is, we are at the point where we need to say we are taking decisive leadership. We are not experimenting. We are bringing in, yes, this new blood, but this new blood are working towards a system that has been established, and a system that can be groomed to say we have head stumbling blocks here. Now we know we are now moving ahead and passing through that.
Let's talk about the contradiction that many people seem to be pointing out, and you mentioned about it, which is that you spoke about young graduates getting jobs, when just last year in March, 21 March, you, Michael Amshelelo, Ina Hengari and others went to Katutura, led a group of graduates who are jobless, demanding that what was happening to them is unfair. They went to school, they got qualifications, and they're sitting at home. You got arrested, spent some time behind bars. Michael Amshelelo was there for seven months in jail over that. And Ina Hengari was also there. She had the shortest stay in jail, but she was also there. That what you went through, what you endured, what you led, which many people thought was really a principled position, what happened on that day and your words yesterday, the contradiction couldn't be more wider.
I'm trying to figure out where that
because even what you spoke about, the OPM and submitting a list and some people getting absorbed, that, if it actually really happened, it's just a scratch on the surface, because youth unemployment, especially among graduates.
Now let's contextualize.
Let me just finish this point quickly. So I had student teachers who organize themselves into a group, and they come to the show a lot of times, who are telling me that the number of them who have graduated as far back as 2015 is now nearly 9,000 people. Those are just teachers. If you add now people, social workers, engineers, it's even worse.
Absolutely.
So what are we defending here?
No, we are not defending anything. And that is why I said I wanted to demystify and conceptualize that. Now, let's deal with this issue around what has happened last year. We went to court. In fact, not us. NEF went to court to seek an interim relief to set aside the decision of the Inspector General. Of course, because we are principled activists who will forever be with the dejected masses of our people and will stand by their side unashamedly, depending on whatever affiliation that you have and you want to put us on. Because that is who we are. You are not told to go. Nobody called me and said, please come. It's a personal conviction. And that personal conviction, and in the middle of those preparations, we had, and that is what I was explaining to you, we had conversations on X, or now then Twitter Space, with the presidential advisor, who was willing to accept this petition or memorandum. And that memorandum would have had subsequent names and attachment of those that are going to protest, and you collect them from the regions. This did not happen. Why? Because the court then said, no, you cannot, they don't see what irreparable harm that we're going to suffer. And we went to then inform the young people and say, no, the protest is off. This protest will be rechanneled on a different date.
About the principle.
Then we got arrested. So the principle was, just like in 2018, and I'm going to tell you now, just like in 2018, when we had submitted that memorandum, the fundamental principle, how not, and this is where you see that others have been marching for days and nothing is being done. It's because there is never a follow-up. There is never strategic engagements. And as an activist, you ought to know that when you submit a memorandum, what would be the likelihood of you influencing those that are in power to accept and ensure that that is delivered? If that had been done, then we would be sitting in a better position to say, no, but Dimbulukeni, you're a hypocrite. We have given you our things, we have submitted these things, and you have never even attempted to ensure that these things are done. And that is what I'm telling you to say, that when you engage government, government has a choice to want to accept what you are doing, implement it, or refuse completely.
No, they have no choice to refuse, actually.
They have no choice to refuse, but the egos in people...
They have a responsibility
to absolutely,
accept.
But the egos in people then makes them to do that. So that is what I'm saying. And that is what we must demystify.
Yeah.
In a sense that when you are engaging, like we have been engaging these colleagues, these comrades in good faith, and have laid on the table issues that are affecting people, they have reacted. And not just react in terms of a PR stand, but have gone an extra mile to ensure that things are done. And I even said it yesterday. Are we saying that we have done enough? No. Is there more that can be done? Absolutely. Do we need to make that contribution? If necessary, let's do that contribution.
Do we have a youth unemployment crisis in Namibia, or we don't?
We have young people who are on the street, young people who have graduated. I serve on a school board, a deputy chairperson. Almost every second month or third month, it's either we are looking for a temporary teacher or we need to hire a permanent teacher. And I see, when we take them through those interview processes, these are not things that are far from me. When I go to Okuriangava, my neighbors who are there, majority of those young people are sitting there doing nothing. And the wish is that we could absorb them and do whatever we need to do. And we are saying, we need to find a solution to this collectively as Namibians. Whatever vehicle you believe is best for you, you choose that vehicle.
Yes.
I am saying, yes, there is unemployment in our country. It's a fact, we can't run away from it. And whoever is saying that there is no unemployment crisis in this country, then you are living in a different world. But what is the best vehicle that you believe we can achieve that through? I am saying, having considered what the Swapo party is saying, and having looked at the list of candidates that are prospect cabinet members, members of parliament, and young people who are saying, we want to consolidate ourselves and really take the party to task and ensure that there is deliveries and deliverables.
Yeah.
I said, I think this is the team I want to play for.
The very team that delivered us where we are today, in this massive unemployment, is the team that will pull us out.
This is the team that has gone through and tried and tested. It has made mistakes. It has seen what can work. It has seen where we are. Like what I'm saying, we are at a boiling point. We are not at the point where we need to experiment. When you're at a boiling, ticking point, you would not want to be experimenting with people's lives. Yeah. But you'd rather say, how many years of experience does Toivo have? Yeah. Because he is the person we can take and deliver this country to go and progress where we need to go. Because where we are coming from, we have been looking at, yes, did this work, did this not work? And how do we make sure that we progress going forward?
Absolutely. We go for a very short break and then I return with Dimbulukeni Nauyoma.
As the holiday season draws near, ShopRite and Synergy Chatbot are delivering the Christmas spirit. Welcome at Santa's Wishlist. Follow the instructions to submit your drawing and letter to Santa. Step 1. Start by drawing a picture for Santa. And when you're done, just jot down a few details about yourself right next to it. Step 2. Scan the QR code and it will open up WhatsApp with a little message that says #ShopRightSanta. Just send that message to Santa. Or if you like, you can also type #ShopRightSanta into WhatsApp and send it to the number as indicated. Step 3. Follow the simple steps in the chatbot and submit your name and age, and most excitingly, the present you've picked from the list. Don't forget to include your physical address so Santa can find his way to you. Step 4. Once you've completed the previous steps, snap a photo of your drawing and your letter to Santa to submit your entry.
Now, remember, I'm looking forward to all the wonderful drawings and letters you'll be sending my way. See you soon, and keep spreading that holiday cheer. Ho, ho, ho! ShopRite Namibia and Synergy Chatbot are delivering the Christmas spirit. This festive season, I've got a very special surprise just for you. My magical elves will be delivering gifts straight to your doorsteps. Grab your crayons or pencils and draw me a picture. Simply save the number on your phone and follow the on-screen prompts.
Our conversation with Dimbulukeni Nauyoma continues on the evening review. Now, my brother, let me put this thing to you. I'm probably one of the few people in this country who actually encourage people to change political parties as much as they can. Because I think that the people who are loyal to political parties under all circumstances, I think those are the danger to our country. Because you can't say that even if a political goes start going around butchering people, you just say, no, I'm just for this party.
In the name of loyalty.
Yeah, I think that is the dangerous one. But when a party no longer speaks to your ideological and aspirations, or ideological aspirations, then you ought to be moving. So I'm one of the least people who would judge anyone who changes political parties. In your case, though, is that everything seems diametrically opposed to what you stand for. Because we know you.
Yeah.
We know you as a fighter. We know you as a man of the downtrodden.
Yes.
That is your space.
Yes.
You've gone to jail 3 times, as far as I remember. You went to, when you were arrested in Okurangaba, when you stood in front of the police who were destroying a kabashi of someone. You went to jail in 2022 when you were protesting in Chinatown because people are being exploited. And you went to jail in 2023 when you went to lead these unemployed graduates. This is totally different from anything that Swapo would do. Swapo doesn't stand with poor people. Swapo doesn't stand. They have labor inspectors who could have been there in Chinatown to protect those people.
Yes.
It's you, an individual man from Okurangaba who went to stand there. When people were marching there, not a single Swapo member was Swapo leader was in sight. It's you individuals who said, no, this is not correct. Everything that you do is really, and that is where a lot of people do not understand how that would work, because what now? Are you going to become a completely different animal? Because Swapo is going to chuck you out again. You were expelled from Swapo, by the way. You were expelled from Swapo also because your principles are just too different. How are you going to navigate that space?
No. I think like you see, the type of leadership that you find at any political environment, particularly political parties, would dictate what type of environment it would give to its members. And it's only an understanding of that space where you operate from, and understanding the rules that you can play in as far of how and the reach that you need to get to. So I was explaining to you earlier to say, yes, a lot of people protest every day. But do they yield the fruits that they yearn for? No, most people don't. Why? It is because of the environment and the reach that you would have to influence that decision. Now, I don't need to change who I am. I just need to use the influence that I have.
You can't thrive in Swapo with
No.
the Dimbulukeni.
But this is what I'm saying.
The Dimbulukeni who's not castrated, who's not... Because you can't say, for example, the rules in Swapo say... Because Swapo hates being humiliated. They hate it very much.
Yes.
Do not go and shine there as an activist standing with people for unemployment. You are embarrassing the president. You are embarrassing the party.
So the question would be, what have you done to ensure that you have contributed to support the president in creating ideas and implementable ideas or bringing forth solutions to the president that would impact the lives of these people? That should be the fundamental question. Secondly, what leads people to protest action? And is protest action the only revolutionary act that you can take in showing that you stand side by side with leaders? I remember when the issue of land became at its peak in 2014.
Yeah.
The Secretary General then, Comrade Nangolo Mbumba, the president, summoned the councillors of the city of Windhoek. The Congo spoke out against the councillors at the city of Windhoek and said, comrades, you're embarrassing us.
Yeah.
Therefore, you must deal and put your house in order. So there are structures in which you can address some of these matters. But protest action must not only be seen, and this is the problem that we are having. People, when they see you on the street, then, he's revolutionaries with us. Yeah. But what you do behind closed doors to ensure that people have water, people's water is not cut off, there is food on the table for many people. They don't see that and you don't publicize it. But it's an act that you have done to ensure that what you have seen, what you saw, and it hurts and painfully pains your heart. Say, but I have access to so and so minister. I have access to so and so director. Why don't I call that director and say, can we meet in your office and discuss this matter? And fruits are yielded, and once those fruits are yielded, you don't go out in public and say, I've done that and I've done that. There's so many cases of that we've done.
No, I get that.
And it seems that the problem that you are highlighting, and it's not just a Dimbulukeni problem, it's something that has been implanted in the minds of our people.
Yeah.
That for as long as the person is with you on the streets, for as long as the person is where is is throwing insults, is doing this, that is a revolutionary act. People were saying it's non-revolutionary for you to go to prison. An activist and a revolutionary can never be arrested. But it's a consequence of a protest action.
You sound like a Swapo guy already, like very typical Swapo already.
No, I in fact, I sound like myself.
24 hours in.
I sound like myself.
Because
yes.
Look at what you did, that brave act that you did in Okurangaba.
Yes. And I can still repeat
it. No, you can't. You cannot.
Says who?
You'll be expelled again. You want to
be
expelled again for embarrassing, for humiliating the party. How dare he stands in front of? How dare he outshines our leaders? You see what you did there is that people, there were illegal shacks. We know land is an issue, housing is an issue. Those are facts. Those are realities of our society.
Yes.
And you recognized it at the time and stood in front of these things, tried to stop city police from uprooting these structures. You see, for some things, and credit to all of you that have done so better than all of us.
I want to give you a scenario that happened before AR was even formed.
Yeah.
That you can continue.
Yeah. So I'm saying there are there's boardroom activism where you influence policy to say, comrades, this cannot be correct. Boardroom.
Yes.
And then you have. You couldn't have resolved that issue that day through boardroom things. What you're saying about Nekongo, what he said and whatnot. He should have gone there and stood where you stood if he wanted to make a real impact. Because while you are in the boardroom talking and debating, the structures are being removed to there. You stood there to say, I have no time for boardrooms now because this is happening right now.
Absolutely.
And I must act now. So I am saying that what you did, you cannot denounce it now that somehow it was not effective. It was actually a very effective
No, I'm not denouncing that is not effective. In fact, I want to.
And they broke your arm.
In 2012, remember that this act around sheikhs being bulldozed during winter was a common thing, even just before the affirmative repositioning movement as a pressure group was formed.
Yes.
And Comrade Paulus, the then regional secretary of the Youth League, and us as members of the Youth League, we went to those sheikhs. We threw Swapo flags, even people who were in the opposition. We put Swapo flags there, we took a photo, we sent quickly to the comrades at the headquarters and say, colleagues, call those colleagues at the city to stop these things. You're embarrassing the party. Those are acts that were never in the newspaper, acts that were never reported about. We never went to bloat around it, but we saved people's homes.
Yeah.
When we were still in the Youth League, members of the Swapo party, when we started our activism, we started this activism within the Swapo party, advocating and agitating for the changes of people of Tobias Ainyeko, Danger Shipala and Eafo section in particular, where we come from.
Yeah.
And as we assumed bigger roles, it has transitioned into dealing with national issues at a different level. Now, we want to do the following and say the Swapo party and the Youth League in particular, because it's a transmitting belt of the party's ideologies, and it's supposed to be a vanguard militant youth wing that must be able to say, one, we are in solidarity with the downtrodden. Two, they fight for freedom for the disadvantaged. And they must be on the side of justice for those that are oppressed.
Yeah.
Now, if you inculcate the true principles of the Swapo party with the leaders of the Swapo party at the sections, the leaders of the Swapo party at the branches, the leaders of the Swapo party at the district level, and the Swapo party is the only party that in this country has all functional structures in all 121 constituencies, where issues that are affecting society must be tabled at. All we are saying is we need to revamp, and this is the direction that you are hearing, even what the Vice President is saying. And there is, you know, when you are fighting and you are just punching in the air, it actually gets more difficult for you to punch.
Yeah.
And you can't identify who you are punching with or who your opponent is. But if you are able to sit down and say, no, but we need to revamp these structures to deal with these society issues here, and we must move society to the next level. If people are saying Dimbulukeni is sold out and he was bought and to sell out the generation, then they must tell me that where was the generation headed to? Was the generation headed to economic emancipation in our lifetime? Are we fighting against poverty? Are we fighting against, are we fighting for the sake of fighting? For the sake of headlines? For the sake of prison? For the sake of what? Or are we fighting to make sure that there is, we are reducing poverty in the country? We are reducing unemployment in the country. We are making sure that business communities and MSMEs have a platform to access funding.
Yeah.
If that is what we are fighting for, what vehicle must we use that will yield results faster in the now and where we have control to persuade and be listened to? Yeah. And I go back to what I was saying in my speech, and I spoke about a caring government. It may not be a 100% government that you have hoped and wished for, but it's a caring government that is willing to listen and act with you on some of these matters that you are dealing with.
I want to challenge you on that.
So if our position is that we must fight in the air until we are 50, until we are 70 fighting, and our children are going to fight our fight, and that is the fight that you want to be fighting, I don't want to be party to that. I want to be part of a fight that is going to yield fruits for our people now and in the interim, using what is at our disposal.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Look, what I'm saying, my brother, is that when you say it's a caring government, that is is simply not true, because what has happened in our country in the past couple of years is really bad. And this is what makes me sad about...
So you are saying the good has outweighed the bad? or the bad has outweighed the good?
I would say that, actually.
Okay.
I would say that, actually. Because I have known what Swapo is actually capable of doing.
Yes.
We know that Swapo has proven in the past that Swapo could actually do better.
Yes.
And then people became complacent in the past 7 or 6 years, I don't know how many years,
Yes,
and
leadership.
dropped the ball completely.
That's the period of my non-payment.
Of the fees.
Yes.
But nothing has changed. That is my problem. Because if you were saying, look, I have fought my fight and I have accomplished what I wanted to accomplish and now I can return to the party, if that was the argument, I could understand. And if you are saying, look, let me give you an example of what happened in Okalongo, my area, last weekend. Mr. Ketu 2000, a good friend of mine from my area, returned to Swapo from IPC last week.
Yes.
And one of the things that he said was that the things that forced me out of Swapo at the time to join IPC have not changed. And I will not, essentially saying he will not hesitate to leave again if things are not addressed. But he's preaching at least a sense of renewal, to say, I have a sense that, yes, the things are still the way they are, but perhaps with the new leadership that we are going to vote in, I sense change, I sense renewal. If that was your rhetoric also, then I could understand.
But what did I say
No,
different?
no, because you are painting a glossy picture to say
No.
to say that it's a caring government. It's not a caring government.
But this is what I've said. And each one is
Our
entitled,
government has not cared for the past 5 or 6 years.
each one is entitled to their opinion.
But truth also.
Yes,
Truth also.
yes, absolutely. And from where I am, and I spoke about things that I was involved in, and I spoke about my contribution and areas that we have dealt with. And in that I said, is this where we want to be? I don't think so. Is there more that we can do? Yes, we can. I don't know why that tone is not being heard. And that is what I'm saying. That in my explanation, I'm saying that when you look at the new crop that is coming of a balanced, and I said for the first time, Swapo Party actually has an opportunity where members of the Central Committee, members of the Politburo, may not go to Parliament. And they would be tasked with the responsibility to have an oversight on what the executive is doing in terms of implementing the party policies and ideologies and manifesto. And making sure that we ultimately, up to the section level, the section leader must understand and conceptualize what Swapo aims to do. And in what they do, they are actually implementing what central government is done, because they form part of, ultimately, some of them when elected at community meetings, because they are the prominent people in society. So they represent us at community development committees at the local councillor's office, the regional councillor's office, where they approve issues that deals with bread and butter issues of society. At the city of Windhoek or municipality level, they form part of the 20 housing committee people, because they are the ones who then go to the houses and say, no, but in that house, there has not been fire lighting in a long while. So people must be going through something. And they report through the right channels and people get drought relief and this assistance. So ideally, in a working environment, that is what you want to expect. And that is what I'm telling you to say, that with a new crop of leaders, that is, I had to assess. There's a tick box that we had to deal with. There's one for this party, one for that party, one for that party. And this is for the Swapo Party. And I say, okay, can we do this? Can we improve here? Yes, tick there. There we go. And that sense of renewal, that is why I said the Swapo Party has come to the general masses of our people to seek a mandate of renewal.
If that is the message, which has never been said at all, anyway.
They came to seek a mandate of renewal from the people to say, yes, for the past 34 years, we've been in leadership. We have had challenges. We have dealt to the best of our abilities to transform society where we are. The narrative and the political rhetoric that is being carried, Toivo, is a false one, because you cannot say that the Swapo Party has not done anything. Swapo-led government has not done anything. But maybe to say that...
Swapo has done very well in the 90s, I can tell you that. Swapo has done a brilliant job
Yes.
for many, many years.
Yes.
That's why I keep talking about what has happened in the past couple of years. That is just bad.
Yes.
And that is the sad part, because once you have set the standards, we are going to hold you to those standards. The moment you slip down the standards, we are going to castigate you.
Yes.
I don't care whether you are Swapo, IPC, or AR. It's our responsibility as citizens.
Yes.
You can't make us want nice things that you got us used to.
Yes.
And then you leave
drop the
us, and
standard.
then you leave us hanging.
Yes.
That is not correct.
Yes. So that is what we are saying.
Hospitals don't have medicine. How can a grandmother, 80 years old, go to a local clinic for diabetes things, and she's told, no, go back to, essentially it's as good as saying, go and die at your house because we have nothing for you here. That is murder.
Yes, and that is the things that we are saying.
Yeah.
With a sense of what we see,
Yeah.
in what we foresee, in the types of people that are presented before us to take over
Yeah.
from those that have been there. It gives us a glimpse of happiness and smile,
Yeah.
because some of them were cooked in the system and we know their abilities to deliver. We know what they can do in terms of what they have been able to do and do all those things. I don't know why a Dimbulukeni Nauyoma, who's simply a member, I'm not in cabinet, I'm not in the Politburo, I'm not in the Central Committee, neither am I, I'm just a section member of a HAFO.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot is expected to transform and change when you are there.
Yeah.
But we are going to play our role in ensuring that what we have been fighting for, we continue to fight for that, and we are actually going to make sure that where we have influence, let's influence that.
Yeah.
But does it always have to be the protest action?
No, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't always have to be. So ultimately, I'm not the PRO of the Swapo party
yeah.
to say and account for the successes. I can only speak to the level what I know.
Of course.
But ultimately what I'm saying is that when I speak to, when I was speaking to the voter, I am simply just saying, you have a house where you have broken windows and you have a broken door. And you are promised of a plan
Yeah.
that has a fancy double story and what and all these things. It's just a plan.
Yeah.
Would you rather burn this house where you are in, sleep in the cold in the hope that you will one day raise the money to build that house? Or would you rather say, winter is on its brink, the rainy season, we are in the middle of it. Are we unable to just repair the windows, repair the door, and if we want to raise some more money, we can buy tiles and tile the house and live comfortably? So
I hear you.
that is where the position where I'm coming from.
I hear you.
That is what I'm saying to say. Are we happy where we are? Like you are saying, standards have been set. We can actually surpass those standards. But does it mean that we just need to close the lights and dim the lights because we have not been at those standards? No. We can actually work to improve and increase those standards. That is why pressure groups such as the Affirmative Repositioning movement, as a pressure group within, and we were all members of the Swapo party. I don't know others.
Resigned.
I don't know about others.
You resigned. You resigned.
So as members of the Swapo party, that is why we enjoyed a cordial relationship with members of the Swapo party to influence those policies and change to be driven where we were. And we feel that we have matured, we have grown, and we are able to contribute at a bigger level and at a better level.
Yeah. In closing, there's a cabinet member that I spoke to over the weekend, a friend of mine, and she was saying that the party must really do something radical. If it wins this election, between now and 2029, something very radical must happen. Because this person says it will be the end of Swapo. If what is happening now continues, that will be the end of Swapo until and unless a new leadership comes afterwards to reclaim the party. This glorious movement as it used to be. And I seem to agree with that. But in closing, my brother, you saw social media people saying, because there's also this notion that every time you speak in favor of something or you join something, even us in journalism,
Yeah.
they call us bot journalists. We are captured. Absolute nonsense.
Yes. Yeah. Hand clappers.
Because you simply do not
Join the choir.
Yes, we ought to have diversity of opinion. But in your case, people are saying, yeah, this man has been given money, he's been bought, he's sold out for money. And because when you guys were in AR, there has always been this notion. My friend Simon Amnime came to this platform and told me how it was difficult for people with qualifications like himself to secure jobs by virtue of being AR members, which was bad which is actually unconstitutional. You can't punish people for associating with whoever they want to, especially when they have done well to acquire qualifications and skills that are needed.
Yes.
It's criminal. So in your case, I know that you balance many things, you try many things, school here, business here, but you also haven't had a job in a long time.
Why are you speaking business on this platform? Must we advertise?
No, we empower people. So is it your socioeconomic situation that forced you back into Swapo? To say, look, I fought enough, but I now need to feed my son, my children.
Absolutely not, Toivo. And I was laughing because, you know, when you are out of the limelight for a very long time, they start to wonder, but how is he surviving? But I thought Toivo was the one who was feeding him. No, he's just hungry. So I don't think we've matured politically to accept different opinions. And when somebody gives a different view, and that is why it's very important. Last night, I was on the group. We have a gentleman's group up to, I think, 2 in the morning. And we're having this conversation where people started with insults and it ended in a productive conversation. And they said, oh, but I actually never thought about it that way that you're explaining. Because remember, there will always be somebody who wants to feed you their narrative.
Yes.
In that narrative, I want to encourage young people, particularly, and now it's too late because the election season has come to an end, that during elections there's this temper and temperature that we raise so high that we feel is good to call each other names and forget that election will come to an end. After Wednesday, you must now go back and say, if I've insulted my boss, how do I enter that office?
Yeah.
If you've not made it to parliament and you must go back to your work, how will you manage that? How will you manage friends? How will you manage relationships? That is why I stayed away from that type of politics anyways. But I must also tell you here that I understand their pain and I understand how they feel, because they will result into calling me names and all, fabricate things, because they must counter a narrative of the amount of people who have been asking me to say, where are we going to place that cross? And on Sunday I said, when you go ballot number 1, you must look for the Duke and we must vote for Nandi Ndaitwah as the presidential candidate. When you get to ballot number 2, you look for the Maniki and then you vote the Swapo party with a decisive majority. Why am I saying decisive? We had experiences of local authorities where municipalities and town councils have been hung. People are looking after their egos. They are saying, you did what? You must get the shine. This happened. And those consequences is a result of us experimenting. So when we go, Parliament, we must have a decisive victory because it allows the president to make decisions that are informed into doing that radical transformation in the lives of people, so that what has been promised in the manifesto becomes a reality. So I don't get distracted by what I read and what people say, because the people will always have views about you. We are not supposed to be liked by everybody, but I ask that we respect one another, because I will accord you the same respect. I have no bad blood with any political leader in this country, whether it's from the opposition or the ruling party. Those that don't want to speak to me is because of their own nature. I want to go to bed, sleep peacefully, and wake up and look forward to my daughter running in my bedroom at around 5 in the morning to greet me, Daddy, how are you? And my son follows after that. Because that is what gives me peace. That is what gives me nature. We have taken a decision when we joined the Swapo Party Youth League through the Pioneers Movement.
In conclusion.
Yes, in conclusion.
Yeah.
When we took that decision, we took a decisive act to speak for the downtrodden, to speak for the masses of our people that are dejected, and fight for freedom and justice for those people. There is no way that we are going to sell out that generational call.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we need to ensure that we emancipate our people economically, particularly young people, because the middle class and the young people of new wave of entrepreneurs, they are the ones that are going to create jobs in this country. If we are expecting government to do that, then we really are way off, because government needs to create a conducive environment, create funding platforms. For example, I want to share with you now, as I really round up, I had conversations with people who are responsible for one SOE, and they are looking at expanding their mandate to say, how do we fund businesses up to 10 million? That's the SSMEs, so MSMEs, so that they can thrive and work hand in hand with NIPDB to ensure that they look for funding and generally create employment. So if the fights that people are talking about being bought is for me not to engage those conversations that yield fruits for people, I'd rather be there than accept whatever they think I've received. So we must fight for our people. We must never sell out the general generational mission. And whatever vehicle you choose is up to you. My vehicle is the Swapo Party, and I believe that come 27 November on Wednesday, we'll have a decisive victory for our presidential candidate, Mene Tumbo, and we'll have a decisive victory in Parliament and restoring two-thirds majority to govern properly and ensure that we deliver the manifesto.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Dimbulukeni, for coming to the platform and for giving me this exclusive interview. It's exclusive because I'm speaking to you just 24 hours after you rejoined the party and you were talk of town.
Yes.
But I only have one appeal as a friend, that you bring that fire to Swapo. That fire in the belly, as they call it, that beast in you cannot die now.
No.
Because Swapo ought to operate actually like that.
Yes.
Swapo ought to operate like that. There has to be radical posture. You have to stand with the people. You have to be with your people, even if it's actually your responsibility under the mandate that you have. Show us that you're actually with the people.
Absolutely.
We do not want you to be caged, because we, the people who admire you in this country, they admire your character, your principles, to say, it doesn't matter whether I'm in Swapo, AR, or whatever, NEFF.
I've never been with NEFF.
No, it's an example.
Oh, by association.
It's an example.
Yeah, please. I just got back 24 hours ago.
I could have said IPC also.
I'm joking.
But yeah, we will be closely watching you to say whether you're going to be caged or you're going to be still radical, because if you can infect young people in Swapo with that kind of posture where you say, look, colleagues, this is not right. If you can infect everybody around you with that, then maybe the Swapo of yesterday can return. Thank you for making time.
Thank you very much, Toivo. Yeah. And our people must always know that elections will always come with a lot of things.
Yes.
But let us stay true to the cause.
Absolutely.
And make sure that we protect our country.
I agree. That is Dimbulukeni Nauyoma. He's a Swapo member, explaining his decision to rejoin the party this week. And of course, urging you to vote wisely, I suppose.
No, vote for our party. They are candidate. Look for the Duke.
Okay. That's the show for tonight. Thank you for watching.